We are going to get started in child's pose today. So our big toes will come to touch, our knees will be wide, and our forehead is resting gently on the mat. Your arms are long in front of you. If you feel like you have a tight back this morning, you can always bring your inner thighs together, creating more of a stretch in the upper back and shoulders. And wherever you are, take a deep breath in and a breath out. We'll move to a tabletop pose, coming onto all fours. All 10 of our fingers are spread wide, our palms rooted into the mat, and our knees are resting gently on the mat. If you're on a hardwood floor and you need to fold your mat in half to create a bit more cushion underneath your knees, please do so. And on an inhale, drop your belly, lift the crown of your head toward the ceiling. Cow pose. On an exhale, curl your spine, chin to chest, like a cat. Inhale, belly drops, head lifts. Exhale, curl the spine, chin to chest. Come back to a neutral spine and breathe your left arm high. Thread the needle, left cheek, left tricep, come to the mat. You feel a gentle twist. Deep breaths in, long breaths out. And bring your left hand back to the mat. Breathe your right arm high, thread the needle. And so these gentle twists, they heat up the middle of our body, prepare us to move into our practice, these brighter, bigger motions. And if you're practicing first thing in the morning, it's a really great way to increase some blood flow and mobility. Reach your right arm high and drop it back to the mat. Inhale, belly drops, head lifts, cow pose. Exhale, curl the spine, chin to chest, cat. Once more, cow pose, cat pose. Come back to a neutral spine and lift your hips, lift your knees, downward facing dog. On an inhale, breathe both heels high. Exhale, sink both heels to the back of the mat. Heating up the calf muscles. Inhale, reach your heels high. Exhale, press. Once more, lift your heels away from the mat. Exhale, shift them backward. You can pedal out your knees left and right if that feels nice. And then we'll breathe our heels high again. Bend your knees and step to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, lengthening through your spine. Exhale, forward fold. And sweep your arms above your head, extended mountain. Hands through heart center, forward fold. Lift and lengthen halfway, fold. Extended mountain. Hands through heart center, forward fold. Heating up the body, heating up the low back, halfway lift, fold. And reach your hands high, extended mountain, forward fold. And just hang here. You can take a bit of a wider stance with your feet, grabbing opposite elbow with opposite hand. Maybe you sway left and right for a ragdoll pose. Moving intuitively with your body and taking shapes and rhythms that feel good, that help you wake up, feel energized rather than depleted. And slowly release the bind. Heel toe your feet back together. Inhale, reach your hands high, extended mountain. Sink your hips, chair pose. Your belly button is pulling in toward your spine. Your hips are tucked under. Your arms are reaching high. Your shoulders are falling down your back. And there's a deep bend in your knees. You'll begin to feel this in your legs. That strength, that heat that's bubbling up, that's forming. Continue to breathe. Breath in, breath out. Bring your hands to your heart center, straighten your legs, forward fold. Lift and lengthen halfway. Plant your hands, step your left foot to the back of the mat, low lunge twist. Right arm peels up. Breath in, reaches your right fingertips even higher. Breath out, maybe twists you just an inch deeper. Drop your right hand to the mat. Crawl your hands to the left side of your mat for a side-facing, wide-legged forward fold. Both of your toes are slightly inward, maybe a bit pigeon-toed. And you're dangling, head, neck, and shoulders being taken over by gravity. Breath in, breath out. Walk both of your hands over to the back of your mat, framing your left foot. Reach your left arm high, low lunge twist. I'm waking up that shoulder this morning, really energetic in your left fingertips as they reach high. You're not dipping into that right shoulder, but your right ear is pulled away from your shoulder, giving you a bit of space, lengthen the spine. And drop your left hand to the mat. Crawl both of your hands back to the middle, side facing, wide-legged, forward fold. Halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, melt. Reach both hands high, standing, and then take a bind at your low back. Both of your hands clasping right at your sacrum. Inhale, opens your heart, opens your shoulders. Exhale, folds you forward. The bind is not serving you, if you have tight shoulders or perhaps an old shoulder injury, feel free to bring your hands to your hips and work with the idea of bringing the crown of the head downward. So many layers to our growth, so many different ways to approach this practice. There's no one right way to do yoga. Gently release the bind if you have it. Walk both of your hands up to frame your right foot. Step your right foot back to the left foot, high plank. Breath in, breath out. Deep breath in, longer breath out. You're hugging everything in toward the midline. Can you stay as you take another breath in? This time exhale and bend your elbows, lowering your belly all the way to the mat. Halfway lift for a cobra. Exhale, lower. And press yourself back, child's pose. Letting that settle in. Maybe you crawl your hands left and right forward onto the mat, noticing your body as you begin to move. What does it need? Does it need more rest today? Does it need a bit more heat and fire? Take this practice at your own pace. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Begin to cycle your breath in and out, knowing that you can come back to this breath at any time throughout the practice. All of these motions are optional. The only thing that's mandatory is to breathe. And your next breath in, breathe your hips and heels high, bend your knees, and step or hop forward. Lengthen your spine halfway, forward fold. And reach your arms high, hands through heart center, forward fold. Lift and lengthen, fold. Arms sweep up, hands through heart center, forward fold. Once more, lift and lengthen, fold. Reach your arms high, and then sink your hips, chair pose. And coming back in, settling in, checking in with yourself, making sure you can wiggle all 10 of your big toes, or all 10 of your toes, only have 2 big toes. Your hips are shifted back, and you can see all of your toes. So if you can't see your toes, maybe your knees shift back an inch. Bring your hands to your heart center. Inhale here. Exhale, twist you right. Breath in, chair pose. Breath out, twist to the left. Breath in, chair pose. Straighten your legs, reach your hands above your head, forward fold. And plant both of your hands on the mat. Step your left foot back, warrior 1. Your left foot is at a 45-degree angle. There's a deep bend in your right knee. Your arms are lifted. Your whole heel of your left foot is on the ground. If you're newer to yoga, warrior 1 and crescent lunge can be a bit confusing because they look very similar in the upper half of our body. But in warrior 1, your back heel is swiveled down. You're pressing into the outer edge of your left foot here. Breath in, breath out. Open up, warrior two. Come back to your breath. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Right hand reaches behind you. And bring your forearm to the top of your right thigh, supported side angle. Left arm reaches up and over your left ear. Every breath in, lengthening your spine. Every breath out, twisting you deeper. On your next breath, reverse your warrior two, reaching your right hand behind you again. Cartwheel both of your hands to frame your right foot, standing splits. Left heel reaches up toward the ceiling. And just let yourself melt. Melt toward your standing leg, melt toward the floor. If you need blocks, or if you don't have blocks, you can even take some books from your house and use those to stack your hands on. And check in with your hips. Make sure that both of your hips are facing the ground. I like to think of your hips like two headlights. You want them both in line, both facing the same direction. Deep breath in, long breath out. Forward fold at the top of your mat. Both feet come to the ground. Lift and lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold. Sweep your arms above your head. Chair pose. Noticing how every time you come back, there's a bit more space, a bit more room to breathe, a bit more freedom in the pose. Bring your hands to your heart. Gentle twist to the left. Chair pose. Gentle twist to the right. Back to chair. Forward fold. This time, bring your right foot to the back of the mat, warrior one. And adjust as much as you need to in this pose, especially if you practice first thing in the morning. It can be really difficult to move into your hips. So heel toe your front foot out as much as you need to. You can take a very wide warrior one. And there's no shame in doing so. No shame in taking what you need and giving yourself something that feels good. Open up, warrior two. And find your footing here. Reverse your warrior. Left hand reaches up and back. Supported side angle. Left forearm to your left thigh. Right hand reaches up and over. And again, check in with yourself. Make sure that your left ear isn't dumping into your left shoulder. How can you brighten? How can you open? How can you expand? Reverse warrior two. Left hand reaches behind you. Cartwheel both of your hands to frame your left foot, standing splits. Shake your head out, yes. Shake your head out, no. Noticing where you're holding tension unnecessarily and sending some breath there. Breath creates space, expansion, ease. And forward fold at the top of your mat. Pedal out your knees left and right. Then we'll take a goddess squat. So heel toe your feet outward. So your big toes face outward. Sink your hips, bend your knees, goddess squat. You can use your triceps as leverage against your inner thighs to press open a bit more. This is a pose where you want to be open-hearted across your chest so that you're not contracting your spine and falling inward. So maybe you bring your thumb knuckles to your heart center, your sternum, to remind you to stay open. Yes, this is a deep pose. Again, you can use those blocks or a household item like books to put underneath your seat to make this more of a supportive position. 2 more breaths here. 1 more breath. Forward fold. You could take ragdoll, grabbing your elbows again, swaying left and right. And slowly roll up to stand, Tadasana, mountain pose. Your palms face the front of the room. You feel all four corners of each foot firmly rooted into the mat. You feel steady, at ease. Heel toe your feet back together. We'll take another chair. Arms reach high. If you have tight shoulders, maybe you take a cactus pose with your arms. Make sure that there's still energy in your fingers, length through the back of your neck. We'll move into eagle, bringing our left leg over top our right and sinking our hips deeply. You can choose to keep your arms in this cactus position or reaching upward, or you can bring your left arm underneath your right for eagle arms. Your palms are working to touch. There's an opening in the back of your shoulders, and see if you can stack your shoulders over your hips, bringing yourself into alignment. Our core is engaged. Our right leg is working. Breath in, reaches your elbows upward. Breath out, contract, elbows to knee. Breath in, as you reach up. Breath out, contract. One more, reach up and contract. Keeping your eagle arms, airplane pose. Again, if these eagle arms aren't serving you, you can always bring yourself to a hug, bring yourself to a cactus position, or reach your arms in front of you. Breath in. Breath out. Standing splits, hands fall to the mat. Left heel reaches even higher. Step your left foot to the back of the mat. Bend the right knee, low lunge twist. Right fingertips reach upward. From here, we'll move to half moon. Right hand reaches up and over to the ground. Left side body peels open. Your shoulders are stacking. Your hips are stacking. There's a big flex in your left foot, as if you're going to put a footprint on the wall behind you, if there's a wall behind you. Reach your fingertips in opposite directions. Option to bring your right hand to a block, to a book, or simply to the mat. If you'd like an extra challenge, you can see about the possibility of bringing your right hand to your heart. Stay here, or option to bind, reaching your left hand for your left ankle. Yoga is a practice with so many layers, so many levels, so many options. Pick what's most supportive for you in this moment. And gently release the bind, half moon. Forward fold at the top of the mat. Shake that out left and right. And slowly roll up, back to stand, Tadasana. Heel toe your feet together. Come back, chair pose. We'll move into our eagle. Right leg reaches up and over your left. Option to take your eagle arms. Right elbow underneath your left. Find a steady point to fix your gaze on in the room, something unmoving. It can be the corner of a picture frame, a speck on the wall. When we fix our gaze on something unchanging, something constant, it gives us direction. Helps us cultivate a bit of peace in the pose. On an inhale, breathe your elbows high. Exhale, contract, taking the abdominal move. Inhale, reach. Exhale, contract. Once more, reach your elbows high. Contract, elbows to knee. Peel open, airplane pose. Option to keep your eagle arms. if you've lost your breath, if you feel shaky, find your center. Pull everything in toward your midline. Take a deep breath in and drop your hands to the mat, standing splits. Right heel is reaching high. Your hips are square. Your shoulders are not tight and tense, and your neck can float. You can take a few head rolls. You can shake your head yes and no. Step your right toes to the back of the mat. Peel open your left arm, low lunge twist. Breathe your left hand to the mat, half moon. Right side body opens. Remembering that flex, that energy in your right foot. Your standing leg is strong. Your hips and shoulders stack. Option to stay here or option to bind, reaching your right hand toward your right ankle, opening up that hip, really feeling a nice quadricep stretch here. This can be intense. If you feel like you can't breathe, if this feels unnatural or painful, you've gone too far. Take a step back, backtrack. What do you need to feel vibrant, to feel energetic? Half moon. Forward fold at the top of your mat, yes. Sway left and right. We'll take a gorilla pose, so slipping your palms underneath the soles of your feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, melt even deeper. Noticing how you have a bit more freedom, mobility in this pose. And slowly release the bind and then lower your hips to the mat, hugging your knees up and in toward your chest. You can take a few rocks left and right. We'll move into a figure four pose. So if you have practiced yoga before, this is also a modified version of pigeon. If you'd prefer to take pigeon forward facing on your mat, you can do so. But for figure four, we'll reach our right ankle over top our left thigh. It creates a bit of a four shape. From here, we can slip our right hand through the loop we've created, our left arm around the outside, and maybe, just maybe, we clasp at our shin, our left shin. Let your shoulders melt toward the mat, feeling the deep stretch in the back of your right leg. For people who have a desk job, they sit a lot. Maybe you drive a lot in the car. This can be a really great way to create some space in your body. You might even notice that after we're finished, you'll get up and walk away from your mat, feeling like you can walk even easier. And slowly release, bringing both soles of your feet to the mat. On a breath in, lift your hips toward the ceiling, bridge pose. You can stay here, or you can shimmy your shoulders underneath your back, clasping your hands at your sacrum, just applying a bit more of a counter pressure against the mat to lift your hips even higher. 2 breaths here. Slowly lower. Take a happy baby, reaching for the soles of your feet. If you can't reach for the soles of your feet, maybe you're grasping your calves or maybe your inner thighs. Just finding a connection point. Your knees are bent. Your heels are toward the ceiling. Really nice hip opener here. And slowly release. We'll take figure 4 on the opposite side. So putting your left ankle over top your right thigh, create that figure 4 shape, and maybe this is where you stay. Maybe this is enough. Or you reach for the bind, slipping your left hand through the loop you've created, your right arm around the outside to grasp and clasp over your right shin. Making sure you're not holding tension in your neck, that the back of your head is resting gently on the mat. Let your breath cycle in and out. Energizing, oxygenating every cell in your body. Slowly release. Both soles of your feet come to the mat. Reach your hips high. Bridge pose. Deep breath in. Long breath out. Slowly lower one vertebra at a time back to the mat. Hug your knees up and in toward your chest and drop them over to the right side. Open your arms either to a cactus or a T. Gaze can fall left. Practicing yoga first thing in the morning can be such a great way to set the tone for your day, to set the tone of ease, to set the tone of discernment for what you need to take and what was never meant for you anyway. Yoga is such a beautiful metaphor for how we can lead ourselves through our day. Hug your knees into your chest. Drop them over to the left. Arms open, gaze falls right. Yoga reminds us to breathe when things feel tense, when situations get heated, or simply when we feel like we need to relax and release in some way. Hug your knees back into your chest. Drop both soles of your feet to the mat. Option to take a third bridge or full wheel if that's in your practice. Full wheel, you would bring your hands up over your head and press your belly button, reaching toward the ceiling as if there were a string connected to it. 5 breaths here. Two more breaths. Slowly check your chin into your chest and lower onto the mat. Bring the soles of your feet together, Supta Baddha Konasana. Your knees are melting toward the mat. You can bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly, and just feel the expansion and the contraction of your rib cage, of your belly. Maybe set an intention for your day, how you hope to carry this feeling with you long after you leave your mat. How can you tap into your breath? How can you release a bit of tension? How can you feel a bit more? You can stay here for your final rest or extend long Shavasana, corpse pose. Letting your effortful breath go, letting yourself come back to a place of rest. And slowly begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, deepen your breath, bringing some movement back into the body. Hug your knees up to your chest, roll onto one side. And gently press yourself to a seated position, bringing your hands to your heart center. Take a deep breath in and a long breath out.